Hi, this is Kelly, and today I'm going to show you how to propagate butterfly bush. This one here, my mother gave to me yesterday, and it is called Lavender Cupcake. And it grows to be 3.5 to 4 foot tall, and it requires full sun, and it has a lovely fragrance like that of a lilac. Now, the first thing about taking cuttings is you should give your plant, the mother plant, a good watering in probably the day before you take cuttings to ensure that the stalks have adequate water supply to them. Now, the next thing I'm going to look for when selecting a stem, I'm going to try to find one that doesn't have a flower bud on it, which is hard to do because almost every stem ends in a flower bud or a flower. And I want my stem to be long enough that I have at least 5 sets of leaflets. So I have a pot prepared here with my potting soil, and I am going to coat the top of it with cinnamon because of its antibacterial and antifungal properties. And if I coat it first, then I don't have to worry about missing any spots after I put the plants in. So now I'm going to select the ones in which I'm going to take cuttings. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you cut just below a set of leaflets. Now this one does have a bud on it, but I am going to clip that off along with the lower 3 sets of leaflets. I have a bucket here that I put the organic material into as I'm cutting them. So here is what it looks like now. It's got 2 sets of leaflets, and if you want, you could even cut some of the leaflets in half so that they still can photosynthesize, but they take up less space. Okay, there's one. I think I'm gonna do maybe 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So again, cutting just below the set of leaves. It's important that you do cut near a set of leaves because that's where the nodes are that contain the largest amount of indeterminate cells. And those cells are sort of like stem cells. They can turn into anything that you want. It could turn into a root, it could turn into a flower, it could turn into a leaf. Those cells haven't decided yet what they're going to be. Okay, I'm going to cut a couple of these, maybe just 1 in half. And this is what I'm left with. I'm going to do 2 more. I'm just setting them aside until I'm ready for them. I'm also looking for ones that aren't as thick and woody as this big main stalk here that comes up from the middle holding this big flower. Those large panicle flowers are really beautiful. And this was another end of the season bargain that my mother had found. That's another way to get a good deal on your plants, is to shop at the end of the season as well for perennials. Of course, annuals you won't get to enjoy quite as long, but the perennials, even if they're past their peak and no longer blooming, then you'll be able to enjoy them next year. I have a sharp pair of pruning shears here that I use to take my cuttings. My husband often sharpens these because you don't want to crush the stem that you're cutting. You just want to have a clean snip. Now the potting soil soil that I have here is about half and half perlite and peat moss. And I have moistened it well before I put the plants in. Now I have my rooting hormone, and this brand is Garden Safe Take Root. And I'm going to dip this cutting into here at least up to the second set of nodes, so that all of the nodes that are going to be underground or under the soil will be coated in this rooting hormone. Okay, there's one. There's two. There's three. These butterfly flowers are really nice flowers. They or butterfly bush. They bloom for quite a long time, and they do attract a lot of butterflies and other pollinators, as their name suggests. Okay, now I have 4 in the dirt. The next thing I'm going to do, well, actually soil, it's not dirt. I have 4 sticks that I clipped. They're approximately the same length. And I'm going to put them in the soil as well. That's kind of a big one. And you'll see why in just a moment. I'm going to give a little tamp around each cutting to make sure that the surface of the stem is in contact with soil all the way around, and that there's no air pockets. And I think I'm going to give it one more quick drink just to get the leaves wet and rinse anything off that may be on the leaves. that cinnamon really helps to, oh, we have some chicken visitors, really helps to avoid the dampening off process, in which a green, like a moss, will cover the top of the soil and kill your plants. I have a rubber band around this pot, and I have a 1-gallon Ziploc bag. And I like to use the freezer bags because they're a little bit heavier and sturdier. And we're going to make a little greenhouse for our cuttings. The sticks will keep the bag away from the cuttings, where the cuttings, the leaves or stems or whatever, would touch a bag, they get rotten that way. So if we could keep the bag away from our cutting, I'm just pulling the rubber band up around the bottom of the plastic bag to form a gasket. Okay, so if we could keep the cuttings away from the plastic bag, it should prevent them from rotting and help them to grow. And it's sealed with a rubber band so that the moisture will stay in. I mean, the pot still has holes at the bottom for drainage, but this bag will fill up on the inside with condensation. And it's kind of like a mini rainforest where it will redeposit the water back into the soil and help to water the plants. And so we have 4 butterfly bush cuttings that in 5 or 6 weeks should take root. A lot of people will say to take the bag off and gently tug on a cutting, and if you feel resistance, then you know that there are roots there holding the cutting in place. Now, what I prefer is to wait until I see some new growth on the cuttings. I don't want to damage any roots that may be forming by giving that gentle tug, so I just prefer to wait until I see some new growth, and that is, to me, a better indicator that there is that there's root development. And this mother, I think I know where I want to put it in the ground yet. But I wanted to take some cuttings before I did. And that is the end of our video. I appreciate you watching. And if you enjoyed this video or if you learned something, please like and subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them in the comments section below. Again, thank you for watching. Bye.